everybody. Welcome to If These Walls Could Talk. I'm Wendy Stuart. And, as I told you, Tym Moss has been dealing with family, and we're hoping to have him back next week. We miss him terribly. I'm going to shake a little bit for Tym, and for all of you who are friends with Tym on Facebook, please reach out. Go to his page, send him a little hey, and send him a little love and some strength, okay? Because we love him. So it is so cold here in New York. So whichever part of the country you're watching from today, we are in our frigid temperatures. I think it's like 10 degrees, which is, I'm a sunshine girl, okay? I was born in January. I just had my big birthday here at Pangea on Saturday night. It was cold, not as cold as it is today, but you know what? I'm like, everything about me screams summer. Why was I born in January? If I have it to do over again, I'm just going to have to go up there and have a conversation with them and tell them I want a May or June. You know what? I would love a June birthday. June would be perfect. It's Pride Month. That would be perfect for me. It's nice and warm out there. So speaking of Pangea, we had a really incredible crew here for my birthday celebration. Lots of people who have been on the show, lots of people from around New York that are performers, celebrities, people from the Warhol time. It was great. It was such a great mix of people. As you all know, my favorite word is cross-pollinate. I'm all about cross-pollinating. So cross-pollinate is exactly what I did that night. We even put on a wonderful show here with Dorothy Bishop, Clover Welsh, Zecca was here. Just so many people that Alexis Flame came to perform, and it was really a good time, was indeed had by all. Speaking of performances, please, Friday night, you can come here as part of our incubator series at Pangea and see the amazing Penny Arcade. She was adding this show because the other one, of course, I think was January 17th, sold out. I am also going to be here to see Penny Arcade this Friday night. So I think it's 7:00. She's wonderful. She's workshopping, of course, her material for her book. And what an opportunity to be able to see her here at Pangea. So I have a wonderful guest today. She's here in person. We love that. Y'all understand that when I have people coming from LA, we can't fly them in, we stream them. And that's the beauty of streaming. But I have a guest here in person today. And let's see, I like to call people like this rock royalty. 45 years in the business, played with so many major people. She is a singer, a songwriter, a musical sound person. She's been a booking agent, party promoter, and I'm sure while we're talking, a million other things will come out. She is humble as humble pie, and she is really terrific. I'm thrilled to have her. Please welcome Anne Husick. Come on down.
Got it right.
The hot seat. I did. She made me pronounce her name. It's not, it's not always me that butchers the names. It's right with phonics. Mm-hmm. It's all about phonics at the end of the day. You can emphasize the name in so many different ways. I'm going to scoot you over a little bit so we're right there in the eye of the camera or the eye of the storm, and move that back a little. Without Tym Moss here Tym always frames me and sets me up. Although I do the lighting. Is the lighting good? You happy with the lighting? Great. We have beautiful lighting.
Making my skin look so dewy.
We always look dewy and radiant on If These Walls Could Talk. That's our signature. My birthday invitation was, how does she stay so young? Because I was celebrating decades, and I wrote there, embalming fluid. Just about. So, Anne, welcome this cold day. Thank you for coming down here.
Today is the first day I've been cold because I am not afraid to layer.
Really?
But somehow the cold just seeped in today.
Maybe you don't have enough layers, though.
5.
You have 5 layers. Okay. I have 3 layers. I have a 5-pound Chihuahua, but I had to put 2 coats on him because I've been bringing him out and he can't even stay out. He doesn't do his business. So I'm like, I see other little dogs. I put 2 coats on him yesterday. That was the ticket.
Does he wear booties?
He won't put booties on. Somebody gave me leg warmers. So do you have a dog?
I have a cat.
You have a cat. But I went in with the leg warmers on him, and I got what I call limp paw. No, dogs are very smart. He's going like this, so you can't really stretch They're smart. So anyway, the leg warmers never went on, but it seems the 2 coats worked, and you just like it works for us. So thank you again for coming out in the cold, for being with us today. How have you been? Like, what, what's the story, Morning Glory? How's life in the fast lane?
It's been a little bit up and down this year. I've had some health issues. I'm okay.
Good.
But just things that kind of knock me out for a little while.
Well, we call that the shit that happens in life. No, I'm not, and I talk a lot about this on the show, the shit that happens in life. And I'll tell you why. I don't, this whole thing of sugarcoating things makes people not deal with reality. And certainly like in the entertainment business, everything's coming up roses it's not true. It's hard. It's hard, but we all love what we do. So we do it, and it's gratifying. And I certainly wouldn't do anything else, but you know what? We're hit in the face with reality a lot of the time, but you're here and you're out there and you're doing stuff. Now you have a new song out.
I put out a 5 or 6 song EP in last April.
It was April. Okay. Right.
And we're in the studio recording again.
Right. You're doing a new one that you intend to set free in 2025.
Sometime this year.
Yeah. Good. And that's something to look forward to. And later on in the show, we're going to play one of your videos, which you sent me.
Yes. This is before I lost my voice.
Oh,
that's a story.
Right. I don't even know the story with that, but you know what? Let's just jump right in. I always think of it. I'm not a singer. I write political parodies, which I perform. My voice is like nails on a blackboard, but you can only imagine. I was going through a thing where I guess my vocal cords got very tight. My husband had passed away, and I think you hold emotion there. I went to an ENT. Yeah, ENT sounds like a guy that does a lube job on your car. I went to an ENT. He told me there was nothing wrong, but he said your vocal cords are probably very, very tight. What was your story?
I actually did not go to the doctor for it. I'd sung my whole life, and I was also teaching guitar lessons.
Wow.
And not just individual ones. I was teaching classes. So no matter what was going on with my voice, I had to sing.
Right.
And I think I got a very unusual case of GERD.
I've heard of GERD is that like acid reflux?
Yeah. But it didn't feel like it. We won't get into the details.
No, a lot of people I know have it. I'm sure if there's people watching, we could have a discussion on GERD. I'm going to slide you over just a little bit more. Okay, so, but you didn't go to the doctor for it.
No, I didn't. So for about 6 years,
that girl.
There were notes in my range that just
all of a sudden
weren't
you
happening.
couldn't do anymore.
And I have a couple of other friends that the same thing happened to. And fortunately, about 6 years after I lost my voice, I woke up one day and I could sing a little bit, and I put a band together that day. And
amazing story.
My voice is very different than it used to be, but I've learned to really use it how it is now. So happy.
That's an incredible story. So were you gradually losing your voice over a 6-year period?
No, I kind of lost my voice.
You couldn't sing. How long did that go on for?
6 years.
How does one mentally deal with this? When I think about singers all the time, a lot of my friends are singers. Dorothy Bishop's amazing. She's been on this show. She sings in so many, she can do anything. But I often think when I'm getting a cold, it's way different than when I'm getting a cold, it's like, oh my God, I have to do this show. I'm going to sound like a frog. But when you're a singer, it's like gone, baby, gone. What do?
You gargle with cayenne pepper and warm water.
Yeah. And garlic?
I didn't use any garlic.
Right.
I ate garlic.
You ate garlic.
So anyway, my voice came back and it's different, and I'm really happy with how it is now. It took a while. I was it
took a bit.
Yeah, because my voice used to be really good at blending. I could just sing a note with no vibrato. And now I can't do that. I also have I don't know if my head is shaking now, but I have a little bit of a shake.
Oh, my sister has that. She's got essential tremor.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Runs in my family too, and that's a whole other topic too.
Right, and
let's just lay it all out here today, folks. This is
a doctor's.
This is it. This is if these walls could talk, because we talk about real stuff on here. But a blessing, you got your voice back. Number one, and you know what? You lost it what year? What was
probably around 2010,
Okay.
2009.
Because in 2014, I think it was Rock and Roll Magazine wrote a piece on you and said your voice was husky and sexy, and I had a quote from there. Vocal quality, a real beauty. That's what the interviewer said about you. But already then that was a different voice.
It was a different voice.
It was a different voice. But I'm going to just ask you honestly, do you like this new voice?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have come to
embrace it.
It's much more sort of personal. It's much more emotional.
That's what I was going to fill in, more emotional.
Yeah.
Wow.
But in the meantime, I'm also a guitar player and a bass player,
So
and a
resourceful.
songwriter. So when I wasn't singing, I just played in a lot of other people's bands.
Right.
So I never lost the music.
Right. And how did you become so proficient at these instruments? And
because I've been playing guitar for 56 years.
So she was born with a guitar. They thought it was a breech birth. It was really the guitar. They couldn't get through the birth canal. So that's really quite amazing. I took guitar lessons in college and never stuck with them because somebody said to me, well, you should have been doing this a long time ago. And I loved doing it, by the way. And I had gotten the calluses on my finger. And I think the guitar I had was a Favilla. It was a good guitar. I bought it used. And I loved it. I loved singing folk music because Joni Mitchell and all those people, Stevie Nicks, were all very much sounds I grew up with. For you, where did you start? Who inspired you in the music world?
Let's see. I had two older sisters. So I was listening to music when I was starting, maybe 4 years old, listening to the Beatles, and the Doors, and Traffic, and the Who, and like
Stevie Winwood and Traffic, John Barleycorn.
That's my favorite all-time record.
Stop it. I knew there was a reason. I know there's people listening that do not know about this album and maybe don't know about Traffic either, or Stevie Winwood. That song, John Barleycorn, that and Stairway to Heaven were the reason I wanted to learn guitar. Can you believe that?
I do believe
Probably
it.
For the same, it had that haunting melody.
Right.
And you would know this because you play guitar. It's where your fingers are on the frets. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
Right. To produce a certain kind of melody. I can't even explain to you, Anne, what it was, but there's something about it that got inside of me.
Right. It's just beautiful.
It's just beautiful.
I never really listened to lyrics when I was growing up. But, like I learned the lyrics to some songs. It's amazing what I don't know the lyrics to. But I was always more about the melody and the harmony and the tension of the music.
The layering of the music.
Yeah.
You were listening to like not one thing to.
Right.
And that makes sense because you do many things with the music. Because you can hear all that different stuff in there.
Yeah.
That's a complicated kind of brain.
I have a very good ear.
You have a good ear. Yeah. Lucky you.
Unusually good ear.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's lucky.
It is really lucky. Before the show, Anne and I were talking about, I have constant ringing in my ear. And the truth is from dancing on speakers at clubs where the music was too loud. And then I have a parrot that sits on my shoulder and screams in my ear, hello. So I have tinnitus in my ears. But obviously you still continue to have a good ear. That years as a musician has not affected you.
Well, I don't know if it's called tinnitus because it's not a high pitch. I have more like a brook.
A babbling brook?
Constantly.
Oh,
so
I kind of like that. I would trade like my ringing for your babbling brook.
Yeah, it's probably less noticeable. But if you're in silence, I'll never hear silence again. And that freaks me out a little bit.
Right.
So anybody with tinnitus knows that.
I never hear silence either. And what she's talking about is you wake up at 2:00 in the morning for no reason. And all of a sudden you're laying there, you're trying to get back to sleep and you hear, it's like a pitch pipe. Okay, this is my little trick. I don't know why this works, but it works. I'm going to do it. If I go like this, for whatever reason, it stops it. It stops it. Why okay, is that working for you now?
It's hard to tell because it's not high pitched and there's
a
lot of noise.
And we have ambient noise here, right? But Try it when you go home. I know, but then you're laying there in your bed like that, which is like kind of weird. But I'm thinking, I wonder if I could create a device to plug up my ears and put it's pressure. It's not just it's a pressure in a certain area. We're onto something. I think we may have had a cure here. So growing up, your sisters influenced you, right?
My oldest sister loved to listen to music, so I would go in her room and steal her records.
Record thief.
I know. And then she'd come home every day and kick my ass. And then I'd go back in her room the next day when she was out and steal her records.
Did she have the Beatles' White Album?
Yes, but that wasn't one that I stole. I got into that when I was in college.
The Beatles' White Album. I still have it. I have nothing to play any of this on.
No, I actually have a turntable.
You do.
Cindy got me for my birthday, Cindy Dawson.
Oh my God. Shout out to the fabulous Cindy Dawson.
Love you, Cindy.
Amazing musician, singer, been on the show, and another animal humanitarian, and sending wishes to her incredible dog, Bodie. I don't even like to use the word Bowie, right? I don't like using the word dog because they're not. These are our fur children, and he's in recovery. I think he had a torn Achilles tendon.
He had some kind of a tendon.
And he's just thriving. She put a picture up yesterday of him on Facebook with the 2 cats. It brought tears to my eyes. I love that stuff.
They're so good to that.
But I go off on tangents all the time, and you all watch this social, you know this. So now I'm getting back to you.
Okay.
So when you were playing guitar, were you taking guitar lessons, piano lessons? What was the deal?
I took piano lessons when I was 6. I don't like reading music, but I have good ear, so I would memorize what my teacher played. And then I'd practice all week, and he'd come back, and he'd be like, "That's not what it says there." And I'd be, "Well, that's what you played." And so
wait, I love that.
Finally, he quit me, and I was really happy because I didn't really like piano. And then when I was 9, I took guitar lessons for about 6 months.
And you just picked it. You just picked. You're one of those.
Yeah.
That's like so great. Now, when you, where did you grow up? I didn't even ask that.
I grew up on Long Island in Freeport till I was 12, and then we moved to Queens. But
I knew it. I could smell a burrow a mile away. I'm from the Bronx originally. I knew that burrow was hiding in there.
There's a burrow.
We can dig each other.
We can swim to each other.
We could dig each other out. So you grew up in Queens after that?
Well, I went to high school in Manhattan. I went to music and art.
I saw that you went to music and art.
When it was up in Harlem, so it was just fantastic.
I cheated to get into music and art with an art portfolio. This is terrible. Can I just share this with you? I used tracing paper. I know this is so bad. And what's even worse is they saw right through it. But I got into art and design, and my mother was like, "But that's not music and art. I don't want you going there." I lived across the street from Walton High School, was really one of the worst schools in the city. And that's where I went. But you know what? You find your own. What I do was never in the game plan. I thought I was artistic. This wasn't in the game plan, but as you know, you find who you are and what you're about. But lucky you went to music and art. I have to ask you, what celebrities were you in school with there at that time?
Let's see. Michael Beinhorn, who has produced the Red Hot Chili Peppers and loads of other bands and made their records famous. And
was he cool then?
I had a big crush.
So he was cool even then.
Yes, he was very quiet and shy, but
interesting. But used that ability to launch himself with these are major.
I talked to him on the phone after I graduated, and he had 1 year left, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to go to Europe this summer and work with Eno." And I'm just sitting there in my room going, "Yeah, sure." And then I got Music for Airports.
Wow,
who was on it? Michael.
His name was on it. Amazing.
And he also co-wrote Rocket with Herbie Hancock.
Incredible.
The whole music
was thing. He did. Was he like a prodigy in music and art?
He was
or just another talented kid?
He was a talented kid.
A talented kid.
I was not a very I wouldn't say I wasn't a good student. I got like 85s,
That's good. Excuse me. That is good. That is good enough. That's
good.
A B plus. Yeah. That's good enough.
It was good enough. And let's see the names.
Debbie, the choreographer from Fame. What's her name again? Who's the one that was the choreographer from Fame?
She was there before me.
So she came before you. Yeah. But had she already left legacy there? I'm sure that
I like I said, I was not really in the whole big, I
I'm
had
pulling
like
you
my
back
group of
this way,
friends.
though. You're listening to
Okay.
port.
I'm listening.
That's what I call it when people go out
Okay.
that way.
Ooh.
Yeah, we're listening to port. So, music and art, of course, produce so many talented people. Are you
Mhm.
still friends with some of those people now? And what are
I'm-
they doing?
I'm friends with some of them. A lot of them are making art. Some of them are still playing music.
Are they employed in the industry too?
Some of them, yes.
But that to me is incredible. I think for me, and the fact, the amount of time that you have in doing this, and I don't know. I came into the entertainment industry really. What the hell? My mother wanted me to work for the phone company, and I basically had one job out of college, which I got fired from, and the rest is history. I've never had another job. I never had a quote unquote, survival job in an office.
Mhm.
Although there are many times I will share with you, especially during the pandemic, I so wished I had that. And I've had a lot of people on the show that they're producing their art, but they also have a nice salary coming in from whatever else they do. When I was in school, you wouldn't have dared taken that other job. You were going to be an artist,
Right.
true and true. It would have been embarrassing to say, well, I work here or there. But even that's changed,
Mhm.
How have you sustained yourself through all this time? You must be an absolutely incredible musician.
Well, I don't know if I'd go that far. I did work in the health industry for quite some time. I worked for chiropractors and nutritionists and holistic healers, and I'm a reflexologist.
Oh, you're kidding. So this I didn't know about you, and I didn't unearth this, and I love
Yes,
this.
and I'm a third-degree Reiki practitioner.
Oh my God.
So I made my living doing that for a while. I was a guitar teacher for 14 years. I ran sound at Sidewalk and books at Sidewalk.
Yeah, and I don't want to skip over that. So Sidewalk Cafe, of course, is an institution in New York. I've seen many a person there.
Yes, sadly it's gone.
Right. And my friend, two friends, Reverend Yolanda performed there, and Meg Flather, before Meg, cabaret artist, and she's won a lot of awards. She performed there. That's where I first found Sidewalk Cafe, and I can share this with you. I didn't know very much about the East Village. It wasn't. All I knew about the East Village was one of my amazing drag performer friends, Sweetie, got sliced in the face on right near the park over there.
I remember that.
Right, back when those things happened. And you remember there was that whole time period where, and so I never had anything to do with the East Village. And then Meg was at Sidewalk Cafe, and I'm like, okay, I'll go down. I just loved it. I'm like, look at what I've been missing, right?
Yeah.
Pyramid Club was the closest I got.
Was great.
It was great. The closest I got to the East Village. So you ran sound at Sidewalk
I ran sound. I had sort of two phases at Sidewalk. One was in the 90s on the anti-folk scene, and I worked with Latch doing booking, and I ran sound, and that was for a couple of years until I got really annoyed with these people because they were cokehead jerks at the time.
No, I know they're not.
Latch.
No, but the other people. That's
people.
Frustrating to work with people like that.
So I quit, and I said to Latch, I'm going to get into a professional band. And 2 weeks later, I was in Ronnie Spector's band.
Okay, so we're not just going
to
to throw that name out there. This is Ronnie Spector, and the fact that it happened 2 weeks after you said, "I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore," right? It's that.
I was very heartfelt.
Right. Well, because it's like, hey, I am the real deal.
Yeah.
This is ball. That is. Tell me what you did in Ronnie Spector's band.
Let's see. I sang. I played guitar.
Come on.
I played percussion. I played harmonica, which is really scary.
That is really scary. Wait. So we have to backtrack a little. Okay. When did you learn harmonica?
When they said, "Can you play harmonica on this song?"
So you just self-taught yourself.
Self-taught myself. It wasn't like a big solo or anything.
I know, but you played harmonica. For any of us, I had a harmonica as a kid. It takes a certain amount of finesse to be able to do this. Especially, didn't you have like that brace?
No, I didn't have to wear that because I wasn't playing guitar and harmonica at the same time.
See how much I know? So you just had to hold the harmonica and wow. But you sang also with Ronnie Spector.
What a thrill. Every single gig that we did was a thrill.
I love hearing that. I love hearing it. What were some of your favorite gigs that you did, the places that you played?
Well, I got to do some shows at the Bottom Line, the Christmas shows before
Bottom Line.
it closed.
Yeah.
And then we moved to BB King's, and the Christmas shows were always fun because we didn't do gigs all year round. We'd do a bunch of gigs here and a bunch of gigs there. And then it was like the family would come back together for the Christmas shows.
And I think what's making me sad is all the places that Anne is naming are closed. BB King's, the Bottom Line. Yeah. I mean, we could go right down the list.
Yeah.
CBGB's?
CB's. Did I play with Ronnie? I might have played with Ronnie at CB's. I don't remember.
Wow.
But my favorite show was probably she was preparing to do a Broadway show called Beyond the Beehive. And so the first time we performed it was in Baltimore, and we had never done the whole play in order. We just practiced the songs with her. We got our cues, and then so she's doing the play, and she gets to the part where she's talking about how she and her mother escaped from Phil Spector's house in the middle of the night.
Wow.
Shoeless. And then we break into Say Goodbye to Hollywood. And I'm on stage crying my eyes out, blubbering, trying to sing background vocals. I felt like such an idiot, but it was one of the most tremendous moments of my performance.
Tremendous and traumatic to hear. Yeah. To hear that. I don't know that story at all.
I knew the story because she's
very open about it.
She's open about it.
And I never read the book, but I guess he was abusive.
Yes, he was pretty abusive.
Wow. But I don't know her story, but I had heard rumblings about that. That is really incredible to say goodbye to Hollywood. Wow, huh? Yeah. What a metaphor there.
Yeah, well, what's his name? Who wrote that?
Say goodbye to Hollywood.
Why can't I think of his name?
It'll come to you.
Billy something or other.
It's Billy or something or other.
Oh my God.
It's okay.
I've been up since 1 a.m.
What were you doing up since 1 a.m.? Were you writing?
Insomnia.
Insomnia. So
so my brain is not on 100%. Billy Joel. How could I forget
Billy Joel? Right. Okay. And
so he wrote that for Ronnie about that incident.
Wow. I had no idea. This is why I love doing this show. I mean, the things that people, I do. I learn so much. And believe it or not, I retain it. I retain it because I'm not up at 1 a.m. The reason I'm going to share. I always like to give tips on here. This is a good one for you. For $8, I went on eBay and bought 15,000 milligrams of hemp in a gummy. And there's all kinds of gummies they're selling. A lot of them are like you get 60 gummies for $30 or $60. These are really inexpensive, and they not only knock you the hell out, you will have the best dreams. You take 2 before you go to sleep. There are 2. You're supposed to take 2, and that's the 15,000. The only downside to it is you might wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and you may or may not get back to sleep. Sometimes I go back to sleep right away. If I don't, then I take another 1. That's where it gets a little dicey if I have to be somewhere by like 9 in the morning because it's still in my system. But then you have your cup of coffee. That's my tip here for you today. Other than that, the other thing that works great, I'm sorry, these are my drug tips. Half a Klonopin. Use it sparingly. It's addictive.
I've only taken 1 Klonopin in my life.
Knocked you out.
It just shut my brain up.
Did it?
And it was the best thing ever because I just read this article last week. Some people don't have self-talk in their brains. Can you imagine that? My brain just goes 24 hours a day, blah, 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 blah. And I can't shut it off. The Klonopin, nothing.
So that's why I only take half of a 0.5, and I use it very sparingly because the bottle's got to last a year. My doctor will not write out scripts for this, but I got to tell you, she just brought out something, the brain that won't turn off. If you have a creative brain, or if you're riddled with anxiety, as I often am in the middle of the night, I get into the what if head, and many of us have that. You're totally right. It just shuts it down and it doesn't drug you.
Right.
And you go and the sleep is deep and it's good. And you wake up in the morning and you're like, oh God, I feel so good.
I think I'll be going to my doctor this week.
Yeah, you could just tell him, you're having anxiety from like everything. You never recovered from the pandemic, and then the election threw you over the edge. There's a million things that we can do. Anyway, now I'm on the topic of drugs. Enough about that. Tell us about the video we're going to see today.
Oh, it's a video that just of a live performance at Sidewalk Cafe.
Love.
That I did with my longtime guitar player, Robert Not Watkins, also known as Not Watkins, also known as R.K. Watkins. He's a great guitar player.
Fabulous.
You can't really see him in the video because it was shot from the side.
Oh, we can hear him.
Yeah.
Oh, we can hear him. What's the name of it?
What, the song?
Yeah.
I don't remember what I did.
It's okay. It'll come up. It'll come up. There we go. It's coming. There it is. Okay. Thank you. All right. And we just need some sound.
This isn't my guitar. This is not a guitar. I have to thank him so much for lending this to me.
That's your guitar, huh?
Yes, it's fine. Great. I'm going to ask you that. It's perfect. My daughter was Yeah. Perfect. Slide on over. There you are. There she is. That was really great. That was at Sidewalk Cafe.
That was at Sidewalk, and the song is called Lightfield.
Lightfield. And Anne shared with me, of course, because she does Reiki, that it's about Reiki. Incredible. You know, that you wrote a piece about healing, and then you perform a piece about healing, and it's a kind of healing that you can do. You know, here we go again, combining the arts with who we are and whatever power we have. That was very, very beautiful. So your voice, amazing. Compared to now, like what would you say tonally? What are the differences now?
It's not as pure sounding. It's a lot grittier.
It's great. Okay, so I'm going to bring up something. Okay. Let's go to Stevie Nicks, right? I followed her whole life and seen her perform live. She had a rocker voice from the get-go, but now she's grittier. As we live, the longer we live on the earth as women, our experience, I believe this, our experience will often end up in our voice, in the tone of our voice. You know, my voice, which is nails on a blackboard, has definitely gotten grittier, deeper, and actually better. I was way more high pitched. Everyone used to say I sounded like my bird. I have a cockatoo. They're like, you sound like your bird. But don't you think some of that, I know you lost it, but don't you think some of that is the amount of time in and how our voices change? It's a good thing.
And, you know, a lot of really great singers, they lose part of their range.
They lose their range,
which Stevie Nicks did. But instead of trying to sing notes that she couldn't sing, she stays on the low and has the background singer sings her higher notes, so it works beautifully.
I got to tell you, and I love her voice now to me is like light years even more. I love it. I love it. It's just incredibly seasoned, amazing voice.
Yeah,
you know, it shows, it's the emotion, it's the time in. We have to pay homage to that in some ways, right? How would you describe the kind of music that you're performing now?
Well, I do all original music, and it's indie music, and it's dark, so I call it indie noir.
Noir.
Not to be confused with emo.
Right. I asked that question because when I would describe stuff like that, my daughter would say that's emo music. But Anne said, no, it's not. It's indie noir. And for example, the lyrics are dark.
Yes.
Right.
I have a couple of songs about happy things, but mostly I'm inspired to write lyrics when
I'm inspired by dark things.
Dark things.
Well,
like
she's going to be able. She's going to be able to go to town now. You should be cranking it out over the next 4 years.
I'm hiding my head in the
I know.
sand
You know what?
one
has to look at the. No, I can't say the brighter side. One has to use one's time in a productive way, and let's just leave it at that. What was the pandemic like for you?
The pandemic, it was rough. I lost quite a few people very early on in the pandemic, so I just kind of shut down. I didn't listen to music. I didn't play music. I didn't give a shit about music.
Right. It just lost.
And it took a long time for that to come back.
Wow.
I broke my band up over pandemic, and luckily they all came back to me when I woke up one day and said, what the
hell did I do?
What did I do?
No, but you know what? This is an important question. I ask this all the time. There are some people that became so incredibly prolific through the isolation. I thought I was going to lose my mind and became incredibly prolific because I didn't have a choice. However, it created an anger in me that welled up so deeply that I'm a good person. I have great integrity, but I'm still incredibly angry over the pandemic. And I think that that is a healthy thing. I can sit here and tell you that. I mean, because we were all like, what the fuck? How could such a thing have happened? And she brought up something that I haven't heard from anyone on here. You know, there are people that were not affected. They did not know anyone who died. They had a nice desk job with a bonus, and they were able to go sit at home and do that desk job with a bonus. You're a creative person. You knew people early on. In the beginning, I'm going to tell you what I know. a number of musicians who weren't personal friends, for whatever reason, they just seemed to be hit.
Mhm.
Was that your experience?
No, I actually knew people personally
That were friends
that were friends that
that just died.
Yeah.
That just died.
A lot.
It was incredible.
It was terrible.
It's terrible. And still now, nobody's talking about it.
No.
Nope. And that bothers me a lot. I guess that's where that anger still comes from. It bothers me a lot. And now as we move into the next couple of years, I guess it's going to be talked about even less. And maybe they'll even try and make like it didn't happen. But for those of us who were there, for me, it was AIDS as well. I went through that whole era. That will never die down for me. We have to, as artists, continue to call out and share and remind people this stuff happens and it changes us as people. And it changed. How did it change your work? I'm glad you put your band back together.
Yeah. Well, I was booking Sidewalk. I was booking a party once a week for many years. And I was really tired of it. So I wanted to pull back. So that gave me the opportunity to do that, which was one good thing.
Right.
But I didn't work because I'm a musician
Right.
and a booking agent.
Yeah, it all dries up.
So my partner, not quite husband, boyfriend.
Almost
of 25 years.
Wait, almost their significant other.
Yeah,
How's that for a
significant
title?
other. He's definitely my significant other.
He has your back.
He worked
Good.
at home, so I became support staff. I learned how to cook,
Wow.
and I would just get up, put on Dr. Phil, sit on my computer for a few hours. Don't ask. And then I would cook and I would clean and I would do stuff around the house. I just, like I said, wasn't interested in music at all. It was really scary. It was like a big, giant
Gaping hole.
Yeah. Along with all the people that I lost. And I'm kind of an introvert, so not going out all the time did not really bother me.
Wow.
But it was just ridiculous.
It was just ridiculous. I continued to go out with Tym Moss, my co-host on this show, who's not here today. This show was invented in front of Pangea, sitting under a heat lamp, because my PR people had incredible, well-known musicians sitting home. And I thought, this is a no-brainer. I looked in here, it was dark. I'm like, I could sit inside Pangea, remind everybody about Pangea to come down here and have a meal outside. It's a great place. It supported the artists. Now let's support them. And then my PR people, a lot of their people, all the ones that had tour dates, everything was canceled. So I was able to stream all of these people from LA that were sitting home.
Right.
Some famous guitarist, Kenny, I can't remember his last name. I'm like, what are you doing right now? I'm growing shade vegetables. So Tym Moss, my co-host, said to me, what are those? Like eggplants. But it's amazing what happened to people and how we found our footing again. You found your footing again, Anne.
I did. And
what a blessing.
Also, one really cool thing that happened this past year is that I have been sort of just a photographer for fun, but I actually did a gallery in New Mexico of my bug photographs, because I spent Mike's family has a house up in the Adirondack, so I just would go up there for the summer
and photograph bugs.
Yeah, because there was nothing going on in the city,
right?
So I stayed up there a lot and took lots of bug pictures, and somebody saw them and liked them and said, do you want to do an exhibit? And I did, and that was a big thrill.
I got to tell you, that is like so interesting to me. I'm going to ask a very personal question. Yes. Did you know which bugs you were photographing? Did you, when you know how you put the little cards describing the work?
Yes.
Did you have like which bug it was?
I am so shallow. I got called out on this by a few
shallow bug photographer here on If These Walls Could Talk.
I have a friend, Gary Wood, and if I ever put out a book, I'm going to have him write the stuff, because I don't know what all these bugs are. I know what their habits are. I've seen them eating, mating, killing each other, sleeping, but I don't necessarily.
But you didn't know who they were.
No, they were
What do
they
names
were my
matter?
friends. Yes, they were my friends with no names.
Right. This is so incredible. So I'm going to share a little bug thing with you. I'm a member of the Explorers Club, and yeah, you know what it
I
is.
do.
Yeah. So we have an incredible member who's been on Good Morning America 2 times. His name is Joseph Yoon, and he is a bug ambassador because he is a gourmet bug chef. He has other names for what he does, but that essentially is it. And he makes incredible stuff, and you can find him on Instagram. However, he is actually a bug expert. He does a lot of stuff with let's see, I had a grasshopper mojito, which was that I could handle it, because this is what we realized: it's the psychology of bugs. Like,
Yes.
if the bug is ground up and you can't see it and there's no crunching going on, you can process it. I'm like, Joseph, this is dealable. I said the biggest thing to me about what he does is the psychology of people. I was at an event he did, and there was a beautiful, he had a lot of dishes served there, and I thought I skillfully avoided most of them. And then I came upon this beautiful salad, and I'm like, okay, it was like tossed spinach, and it had oranges in it and other things. And I said, oh my God, something normal finally. And I said, yes, I'll take a heaping platter full of that. I said, what kind of salad is it? It looks great. They're like, it's cicada salad. I'm like, well, why are you calling it that? There's no cicada in it. And
Oh yes.
oh yes, there was. And then they started, I guess the weight of the cicada went down. Do you ever think about these things? The weight of the bug might go down. I guess the same way artichoke hearts do, sunk to the bottom so you couldn't see them. So yes, the cicadas made their appearance. You know what? Here's the deal with me. And at the Explorers Club at our bar, you can come and try grasshoppers. We do have them there like a delicacy. If I can feel its legs or hear the crunch, can't do it. No can do.
But what if you're eating celery with it and you don't know what's crunching?
Well, Joseph does. Okay, this is good. I'm going to talk about that with him. I'm trying to get him on this show, by the way, but I'm going to ask him about that because, yeah, I noticed he's done that. He's put he put larvae on the celery, and that's not going to crunch. I know. And okay, so let's also talk about texture, because you were shooting these bugs. You notice they all have different textures. Right? But when you can feel it inside your mouth, then it's like,
no thanks.
No thanks. We'll take a pass on that. Anyway, you know what? Different strokes for different folks. I love that you did a show on this, and yeah, next time I definitely want what bug? How many different bugs did you have?
I had 28 photographs.
All different bugs?
There were probably 2 or 3 of the same bug on just a few of the shots. But
okay, so maybe there were like 11 or 12.
No, more than that. Probably like 16.
16 different bugs. Wow. Did you have a favorite amongst those?
I did, and it's funny. I took a picture of a fly, and you could see all these colorful squiggly lines in the eyes, and that's really what they look like. And I sent a photo into a bug group on Facebook, and they rejected it and said that I manipulated it. And I said, no, I didn't.
I have a bug manipulator photographer on the show today. They actually, and you said no, you didn't, and then they still passed.
Yeah, they didn't want to.
Well, you know what? You got a show out of this, so the heck with that Facebook group for not recognizing.
I know.
Insects to me are quite interesting. Of the variety you would have seen here upstate, did you see a praying mantis at all? Okay, are they not the most incredible? To do this, you were observing their behavior, right? Incredible, right? Praying mantis are like, if you watch I was going to say their finger motions. They don't have fingers. What do we call these
legs?
Things? Yeah, I guess legs or appendages.
Okay.
If you watch their appendages, it's quite fascinating. The other favorite for me, dragonflies are absolutely. They're personable. Did you shoot it?
I've got pictures of them landing on my finger.
They are personable.
On my pants. I made friends with wasps.
You made that's a little daring. You weren't afraid of being stung.
I saved a wasp, and ever since then,
wasps
are very friendly to me. And this summer, I would put out mango.
Oh yeah,
and the wasps would come and they would eat tiny little balls and put them in their mouth and then fly off and then come back and make tiny little balls. And they ate, you know.
The mango.
Yeah.
You were feeding them like you would feed a bird.
Right.
Wow.
So
wow.
That was really fun.
And you've never been stung?
I was stung 2 times when I was a kid, but never as an
But
adult.
not now.
No.
You know, there's, okay, so now we're going into woo-woo land with Wendy, but just follow me on this one. I believe there is definitely something to this. Okay, first of all, we know very little about insect intelligence. We know there's got to be one because look at the relationships and social structures. They're very complex that they have. They're just different than ours. But it's making me think, because of who you are, that you transcended something for them. They weren't seeing you as the thing to be stung.
Right.
There was no reason to sting you.
They didn't not only sting me, they didn't sting anybody. Their nest was really close.
You were working close to a nest and feeding them the mango every day.
Yeah.
Wow. It's the wasp whisperer. You're a wasp whisperer.
I am a wasp whisperer.
A wasp whisperer. But you know, that is so interesting to me on so many levels. I mean, I'm so into like this kind of thing. I went to Costa Rica. Where have you ever been?
No.
Okay, so yeah, and you're taking your camera with you, and I want to see your next show come from there because when you're in the rainforest, you can only imagine the variety of insects.
I love it.
It's absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. So you know, I go hither, dither, and yonder on this show, and that's what I love about it. The Jerry Lewis telethon, you performed it. The last one
at the last Jerry Lewis telethon.
Okay, come on, and no one says that.
I do.
Tell me how that came about.
It was a Ronnie Spector gig.
Okay.
And let's see, Jerry Lewis was not there, but Tommy James
and the Shondells.
That day it was Tommy James. The first,
I love them though.
The first show I ever did with Ronnie Spector was in Central Park, and we opened for Tommy James and the Shondells. That was an amazing gig. But he was there, and who did tie a yellow ribbon around?
Tie a yellow ribbon. I know
Tony Orlando.
Tony with Dawn or without?
Without.
Okay,
they were the hosts.
They were the hosts. Got it.
The hosts. And we did a couple of songs, and some of the kids were there. That they do the telethon for, and it was just a really nice.
But to be able to say that you, that is such a piece of history. I grew up with that.
Yeah, me too.
I don't quite remember why they stopped having us. Why that stopped? Why did that come to an end?
I don't know.
Yeah, but that was the performances and Jerry Lewis and the kids that they would have on, and look at us, we're walking. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I even remember the song. It made a really deep
impression.
Yeah, as a kid. And again, you know, it's gone, but you got to do it.
I did get to do it. That was very exciting.
You've done more contemporary Letterman and
did Letterman.
What? Tell me what you did on Letterman.
I sang with Wilson Pickett.
Stop. What song did you all do?
What did we do? We did Soul Survivor, and we did. We did a couple that didn't get broadcast.
But you did it on David Letterman.
Probably one of the most fun days of my entire life. Because everybody that worked there, they loved their jobs, and they were all really nice.
Love hearing that. Yeah. Right.
And unfortunately, this was very shortly before Letterman had his open heart surgery.
Right.
So he wasn't feeling very well. Like you could tell, he was just kind of
dialing it in and having to
doing as little as possible.
Sure.
But he was, he was nice.
He's great. He's David Letterman. I mean, he'll turn it out no matter what.
Yeah. And it was just an exciting performance. And, I was on David Letterman.
Well, yeah, you're on David Letterman, but really great to hear. I love when people share stuff on here, like everyone who worked with him was really happy. They made you feel really good. Yeah. That's a good production when that happened.
Very nice.
You did Jimmy Fallon.
I did Jimmy Fallon with Ronnie Spector. We did the Christmas show. And the best thing about that was that the Roots did this jam.
So you were on with the Roots.
Yeah. And I never heard any music that was as good as that
Wow.
Like I couldn't tell you what they did. I don't remember. It was a long time ago, but they were fantastic.
Amazing.
Yeah. So that was
Amazing.
really fun also. But that was like a lot of hurry up and wait.
Yeah.
Like get here at 11 o'clock and then
And
like
then
we
you
do
didn't go
something
into
at 5.
I was going to
Yeah.
say like 4 or 5 in
Yeah.
the afternoon.
Yeah.
Interesting how different productions run, you know.
Right.
Have you ever done Saturday Night Live?
No, but I went to the taping of Saturday Night Live. Ellen Burstyn
Stop.
was the guest.
Wow.
I wasn't happy about that because I didn't appreciate how great she was at the time. And who sings Respect?
Just a little bit. Just Aretha.
Yeah, Aretha Franklin. She was
yeah.
the musical guest,
God, I'm
which I
pulling
also,
things out of my head
which I
today.
also didn't appreciate at the time.
Wow.
Now I do, of course.
Now,
but,
of course you do.
Yeah.
So we're going into 2025. How God, this is a loaded question. How are we feeling about going into 2025? Let's just not deal with what we read on Facebook today or in the New York Times or anywhere, and let's deal with our kumbaya, pure emotions. What do we want to do in 2025? What do we want to accomplish?
I just want to be alive at the end of the year.
Yeah, really.
You know, there's the possibility for a lot of people that I love to be on the short end of the stick.
Right.
And I don't want to see that happen. So
sure.
Whatever I can do.
I would say for a lot of us in the creative community, and just even today, I have a lot of friends that work in diversity and inclusion. Hey, you're laid off. You got a pink slip. So I don't know. I can't allow this to bury me because I am an activist. Mm-hmm. Can't allow it to bury me, and have to keep my own creativity as you do going forward. And surrounding ourselves with people that are doing. There's so many people. God bless. In New York, so many people doing such incredible things. Mm-hmm. And while I'm here, I do want to give a shout out once again. LA, of course, got swept under the rug the last couple of days. It's like the whole thing went away, right?
What kind of president says, if you don't behave the way I want you to behave, I'm not going to help you out of this disaster?
Right.
What kind of president says that?
Right. So let's take a moment. For my birthday, people got me wonderful gifts, but I also put on my Facebook site that you could donate to the animal shelter in Pasadena, because there was so much great work being done, but they took the brunt of it, and then they were farming out the money to other organizations. And I didn't just do it for the animals. That was my big one, because the animals needed it. But I also had on my page, someone shared with me about where you could donate for musicians, because the people that do what you do, They lost everything. Even if they didn't lose their house, they lost their ability to perform gigs in all these places, because a lot of the places that employed them have burnt down. So we have to remember that. And again, I bring this stuff up because that's who I am. Let's not sweep it under the rug. Let's continue to think about what happened in LA. All right, because it could have happened here. And let's remember, those are all people that are in our industry, a lot of them. And even if they're not, they need our help now. And every one of us has one little thing that we can do, whether it's a small donation somewhere or sending something or reaching out to someone there. We all have something we can do. It's really an important thing to remember.
We're doing a benefit for LA it's not till March because we couldn't get the room.
Well, hold on. We're almost in February. Let's talk about this.
All right. What's the date?
She's going to pull the date up. It's in March. Good. No, that's why this is what we're here for, to get this kind of information out there. And
all right, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find
You're going to email it to me. Is this on your Anne Husick music site? It's not on there yet.
We'll get the date for you.
So you know what we're going to do right here. You can see we have the banner running in the show. Anne Husick Music on Facebook, and Anne Husick _music on Instagram. All right, you can check it out there. It's just too much trouble to go to Instagram for me a lot of the time. Don't hate me for that, folks.
I'm not a big Instagram
But
person
I
either.
get hired from Facebook. I get tons of PR done on Facebook. So that being said, go look at her site. You're going to have that posted like in the next week or so, because March is, listen to me, I'm such a pushy broad. March is around the corner,
I love it. This is what I need.
I
need
know,
someone
I
to
am.
push me.
Right. People say I'm a motivator. I'm an
Yes.
instigator. And I do the same with myself. Yeah,
Mhm.
March is around the corner.
It is.
It's going to be in the city this.
Yes, it's going to be at Parkside Lounge.
Oh my God, I love Parkside.
And it's going to be, let's see, Puma Pearl's band.
Stop it. Puma Pearlsman on the show.
Yes. Density Black Cat, which are really dear friends of ours. We're playing a bunch of great bands.
Very, very cool. And by the way, I did get a text message during the show that you've played with the Sins. Cindy Dawson had given me a message. So shout out again to the Sins. You know,
Hi, Cindy.
hello, Cindy. We want to make sure we get everyone on here. This is very important. The Parkside Lounge in March. It's going to be a fundraiser.
I think it's the 26th or the 27th.
Okay, but you know what? You can go to my site because Anne's going to share the information with me, but definitely go to her site, put her on your radar, follow her on Facebook because that's easy enough to do. And you'll see a posting for that. And then you can go to Parkside Lounge, by the way, was where I was the night before they shut New York down.
Parkside Lounge was where I was supposed to be the night they shut part of the city down, because I book Cindy's birthday show every year and it was on the 13th.
Wow.
And we canceled it on the 12th.
Wow. That's really something.
Yeah.
That's there you go. Well, now we all get to reconvene,
I know.
right? For a good cause. That's what it's all about. And I'm very excited. 2025, new songs from you.
Yep.
And now we found out at the end of the show we've got a fundraiser coming up. I'm so happy that we have
and
that.
Bowery Electric is having
Yes.
3 fundraisers. I'm not involved with that, but
Thank you.
Those are this month on the 26th, 27th, and 28th at Bowery Electric and a couple of other clubs that they're associated with.
Fabulous.
So you can find that info on
Okay,
Facebook.
so yeah, you can certainly go on Facebook and find all of that. Thank you all for tuning in today.
Thank you.
Stay warm, stay toasty. I'm thinking Tim will be back next week. I know I will be, and I'm hoping you will be too. All right, everybody take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.